What's going on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok? It's me again, Mr. Wade. I'm your host, the Wade Admitted POV. Thank y'all for coming back to chill with me. You already know what it is. And remember, everything that we show on here is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I'm finna get into these three guys, Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Martin Luther King. So, you know what I'm saying? The speeches were kind of deep, and I love the way they talk, how eloquent they were and everything. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Yee! Fire in this funk.
They hate blacks in America so much, the white power structure. We're the only non-white people in the country who cannot be sent home. Right. You cannot be deported. Slavery destroyed your cultural, psychological, and intellectual connection to your ancestral homeland. If the Ghanaian get on your nerve, he go back to Ghana. If the Puerto Rican gets on your nerves, he go back to Puerto Rico. If the Afro-Cuban gets on your nerves, he or she go back to Cuba. If the Chinese get on your nerves, send them back to China. If the East Indian gets on your nerves, send them back to India. If the Arab gets on your nerve, send them back to one of the Middle Eastern states. But when American Africans get on your nerves, where do you deport us to? Most American Africans are so brainwashed, they think they're American. So you cannot deport them because this is what they identify with most. So in other words, the white man created his own problem, which makes it almost impossible to deport us. So the only way to get rid of us is a systemic system of racial genocide. And that's what they're.
Black men died in North Africa fighting the Germans. Black men died at Anzio Beach, Palermo, at Naples, to free Rome, to free Paris, to free Europe. Damn it! Yes. We died to build America. And America has rebuilt Germany and Japan. And the nigger is still suffering and dying in the streets of America.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want to say about Farrakhan, but that dude be speaking truth. He does. I mean, he may say some things that might rub people the wrong way, but who don't? All pastors do. All preachers do. All people who want to, influence you or say something to make you listen to them, they do that. You know what I'm saying? But he hella hated, though. He's been called everything under the sun, but still, so what, though, man? He be speaking the truth, though. You know what I'm saying? But I digress. Let's move on to the next. Yee!
If your mind were free to soar, if your spirit were free from the confines of your flesh and its lusts and its demands, if you could become the master of your flesh, then you could become the master of the material universe. But you are running from the real war. You want a war with black people. You want a war with Jews or Palestinians. You want a war with every enemy outside of yourself. But you are coward to tackle the biggest fight you will ever have. And that's the struggle with yourself, to master yourself, for in the mastery of yourself is the mastery of everything.
I find it kind of funny that, when he be speaking, Farrakhan, it's really deep, though, you know what I'm saying? And then you can feel it, too, though. And then I want to say this, though. A lot of people hate him, call him and whatever they want to. But you know what I trip off of? All these people, pastors and all that stuff, who are dirty, just in it for the money, messing with kids and doing all this type of stuff, and then people still praise them, doing homosexual stuff and all that stuff, and still praise them. You understand what I'm saying? So you can say what you want about Cuz, but he deep and he dope. We needed somebody like him, you know what I'm saying, as far as for black folks, because you don't have too many of him around. You don't. If you have somebody like them around, they're probably either doing some dumb shit or they're dead. I done followed a few people and they turned out to be scandalous and dirtbags. So, you just got to watch who it is, though. But Farrakhan, I listen to him, you know what I'm saying, anytime. So, yeah, let's get it.
Can you imagine white folk calling me a racist? That Farrakhan is a racist. wait. How am I a racist? Well, you talk bad about white people. No, white people history talks bad about them. And there are some white people who want to escape that history and try to be better than their fathers. I don't fault them for that. Farrakhan is a racist. How many people have I enslaved? He's an anti-Semite. How many Jews have I beat up? Boycotted? None. But we have the record of their deeds against black people. Should not I expose them to their own record? Some of you, my silly brothers and sisters, would say, get over it. Get over what? You can't keep talking about what happened yesterday. Hell, what happened yesterday is what's driving your madness today.
Now see, when he speaks like that though, people try to dissect what he says and be like, oh, well, this is hate speech and all of that stuff though, but tell me how it is though. Tell me. And then when he says that you stop calling yourself African American, and then like, why is that wrong? You understand what I'm saying? That's how deep it gets when it comes to speakers like him. That's why he's still around. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that nobody can't be touched, but he's around for a reason. But we're going to move on.
Parks was a disciple of Christ. And therefore, we cannot celebrate death because there is no death for those who die in the Lord, as the scripture teaches. Jesus said, if any man would be my disciple, he didn't say you had to go to church every Sunday. He didn't say you had to sing in the choir. He didn't even say you had to be baptized. He said, if any man, and I guess that does include me. If any man would be my disciple, he must first deny himself. Second, he must pick up his cross. And third, follow me. Now, so many of us are unwilling to deny ourselves comfort or pleasure or a safe place or a seat at a table of acceptability. So we go along to get along. But not Mother Rosa. She denied herself comfort. She denied herself what most people are afraid to deny, that which threatens their security. And then after denying herself, she picked up a cross. Not a cross that you wear in your ear or around your neck that says you are what you may not be, but a cross that represents rejection, being evil spoken of, being falsely accused and brought before courts of law on unjust charges. That's a cross.
What I take from that speech, you know what I'm saying? I think that was Rosa Parks' funeral, right? So, it's deep. And everybody keeps saying that TD Jakes looked uncomfortable. Man, I mean, he always looked uncomfortable. Like, let's just be dead ass honest. He just looked like he didn't know how to feel. I don't know if that is uncomfortable or not, but he just looked like he didn't know how to feel because Farrakhan is standing right there in front of all of those people who are known to be up there speaking and talking all that, and they don't even let Farrakhan speak. And the reason why he said what he said about the scripture, about Jesus, is because it was right. And then all of them other people like to twist it into their own thing. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is, though. Let's get into Brother Malcolm X. Yee.
Do you hate all white people? I don't think it's a fair question. The white man doesn't even come into my attitude. Mr. Muhammad teaches us to love our own kind and let the white man take care of himself. For a white man today, sir, after kidnapping millions of black people from Africa, stripping them of all human characteristics and relegating them to the role of chattel or cattle or animals, commodity, merchandise that could be bought and sold at will, and then 100 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, using every type of deceptive method to further us into slavery, called second-class citizenship, I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them?
For that white man, which you know was a white man, you didn't even have to see who it was, for him to ask Malcolm X, does he hate white people? And basically, Malcolm X gave him a yes, but he gave him a nice yes. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't have to give him a hard, oh yeah, I hate white people. But, hey, he did what he did. That has nothing to do with me. This is for entertainment purposes only. So, yeah, let's go to the next.
American laws are not the black man's laws.
Well, the laws here in America were made by white people for the benefit of white people. The Constitution was written by whites for the benefit of whites. It was never written for the benefit of blacks. And when you read the Constitution, I think in Article 1, Section 2, or Section 1, Article 1, one of the two, and it's in the Constitution, it says that it classifies black people as 3/5 of a man. 3/5 of a man, subhuman, less than a human being. It relegates us to the level of cattle, hogs, chickens, cows, a commodity that could be bought and sold at the will of the master. No, it was written by whites for the benefit of whites and to the detriment of blacks. And when a black man stands up talking about his constitutional rights, he's out of his mind.
Well, somebody just told me what a lie is in that one, though. You know what I'm saying? The Constitution. Who was it meant for? Wasn't meant for us. If you want to go look at it, go look at it. It really wasn't meant for us. So what Malcolm was saying on that was truly right. I mean, Farrakhan came a little bit afterwards, and so he got a little bit more deeper into everything, though, but Malcolm X was the beginning. Let's move on.
That there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it.
Most people, when we say Afro-American, They think only of the Negroes in the United States, but they don't realize that 2/3 of Brazil consists of people of African blood, which means they're also Afro-American because Brazil is in South America. And in all of these, many of these countries in South America and Central America, and even in Canada, they are heavily populated with people whose ancestors came from Africa. So when you total up the number of Afro-Americans, real Afro-Americans, in the Western Hemisphere, there are perhaps 100 million. And if these people ever unite among themselves, not only is it necessary for the Afro-Americans in the United States to be organized, but it's also necessary for the Afro-Americans in the Caribbean, or the Afro-Cubans, the Afro-Brazilians. It's necessary for all of them to be organized. And then once they are organized in each place, we have to organize among ourselves so that the Afro-American in the United States will be working in conjunction in a coordinated program with those who are in Cuba and those in Brazil and those in Venezuela and those throughout the Caribbean and Haiti and in the West Indian Islands. And in this way, we actually get strength. And it's not an accident that there's no organization existing in the Western Hemisphere that's designed toward that end. It would be a direct threat to imperialism as it really exists, and to colonialism as it exists in the West.
What he said about us uniting together as one and all that, though, he's right. You know what I'm saying? They always talk about how everybody originated from the black people. You understand? I don't even know if that's the right even word, because we ain't black. I know some black ass man, but we ain't black. We brown. But I understand what they're saying, though, the indigenous people or whatever. But yeah, so everybody supposedly had originated from us, which is fine and dandy, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that to be wholeheartedly because of the first bones and all that stuff. But yeah, and people can argue to death, and you already know what I'm going to say. Nobody really cares. So we're going to get to the next video.
You said that you helped put President Kennedy in the White House. In light of what has happened, do you regret that?
Well, I'm not at all a political analyst, but there are those who contend that the Negro vote had a great deal to do with President Kennedy being elected, and that many Negroes were influenced to vote for the president because of a call that he made to my wife during an arrest here in Georgia. Now, if this had anything to do with it, I certainly don't regret it, because I think President Kennedy made a most significant contribution in civil rights. And while he may not have done all that some feel that he should have done, I would be the first to say that President Kennedy came forth with the most comprehensive civil rights bill that we have ever had from any president. And he had a great understanding of the depths and dimensions of the problem. And I really feel that he was a friend to the cause of civil rights. And he created a climate of civil rights concern in Washington and in the nation.
You have had attempts made on your life and have been threatened perhaps even tonight. What is it like to walk under this constant threat?
Well, it's often difficult, but when you live with it so long, you almost become immune to being afraid as a result of these threats. I guess you have to come to the point of looking at these things philosophically, and this is where I have decided to stand. I believe firmly that this cause is right, and that someone must have the courage and the fortitude to stand up for it, even if it means suffering or even if it means death. Always felt that unmerited suffering is redemptive, and even if I have to die for this cause, if physical death is a price that others will have to pay, then it is a price that is paid to free the soul of our nation and to free our children from a permanent spiritual death. And in this sense, I think it is very redemptive, or it can be, even if it occurs.
Thank you, Dr.
How
King.
calm Dr. Martin Luther King was, and how he always, spoke softly and everything, unless he was giving that "I have a dream" speech, of course. And then, he's spoke real loud and made sure that everybody heard him. But when he did his interviews and everything, though, it was just so, like, well spoken. He really didn't have to think about his words. And then this dude talk about how he was getting threats and how death he knew was inevitable and all that stuff, though. Then John F. Kennedy got murked because all of the black people voted him in, and then right after that, Dr. King. So, it's just, we already know what it is now. Government conspiracies and blase. But, we can't talk about that too much on YouTube. So we're going to just move on to the next. Yee!
We're getting ready to deal with the economic issue. We're getting ready to demand jobs and income. We're tired of working full-time jobs for part-time income. We are tired of living in run-down, dilapidated, rat-infested shacks and slums. We are tired of our children having to attend overcrowded, inferior schools. Make it plain. And we are tired of our men not being able to be men because they can't find work.
Does the Negro in America know what he wants to be?
I'm convinced that almost every Negro in this country, other than those who have been so scarred by the system that they've become pathological in the process, and we all have to battle with pathology, and nobody really knows what it means to be a Negro unless one can really experience it. And I know we all have to battle with this constant drain of a feeling of nobodiness. But in spite of this, I think the vast majority of Negroes in this country know that they want to be people, they want to be men, they want equality, period. It just boils down to that. And we haven't been able to be people. We haven't been men because of all of the conditions that we've lived with and the syndrome of deprivation surrounding conditions, whether it's in housing, or in the economic area, or in schools, or in the vicious credit practices that we face in the ghetto, and all of the problems of closed doors and constant defeats. But in spite of all this, I think we all know, basically, that we want to be men. We want to be persons judged not on the basis of the color of our skin, but on the basis of the content of our character.
You know that many young Negroes don't want anything that smacks of the American white middle class. But do they want something that smacks of whatever is the black middle class? Or do they just not want bourgeois values, which after all are the basis of this democracy?
Well, I think we have to see what they are saying. I would be the first to agree that integration does not mean giving up everything that has an Afro-American taint, so to speak, a background. I think there are certain unique things within any culture and certain cultural patterns that when you get to the process of amalgamation can really lift the whole culture. And it seems to me that integration at its best is the opportunity to participate in the beauty of diversity.
They spoke a lot of dirt on Dr. King's name, especially after he passed away. But we're not going to get into all of that. But what I can say is that you see what he was saying in that? It's like, and he doesn't really have to like write everything down and read off of it. It's just, mental. You know what I mean? I mean, some of the things that he said was over and over again, but like you have to be repetitive in order to get into people's brains, just like how they brainwash us with all the television and all of that bullshit. So, but it's the same thing. Yeah, he was really deep though, but in the end, he said what he had to say. So let's check that out before we end this.
I'm tired of marching. tired of marching for something that should have been mine at birth. I don't mind saying to you tonight. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of the tension surrounding our day. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of living every day under the threat of death. I have no martyr complex. I want to live as long as anybody in this building tonight, and sometimes I begin to doubt whether I'm going to make it through. I must confess I'm tired.
Dr. Martin Luther King said he was tired, man. Tired of marching, tired of all the threats, tired of everything, you know what I'm saying? Trying to make shit good. And that's all he was trying to do. He wasn't out there punching people in the face, gathering a whole bunch of blacks and going and busting shit up. He was just preaching some peace. And what happened to him? Yeah. So, we're going to end this on that note. Some more Black history stuff for you. This is Mr. Wade. I'm your host. Wait a minute, POV. Come back and holler at me soon. You know what I'm saying? Yee!
I only know one